Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is Societal Narcissism, and this video is sponsored by contribution from the Princess. And here's her story. Hi, Ollie. It's the Princess. It's been a process for me to tell my story, and I think that's a story in itself. So, just a few years ago, before I even knew about narcissism, I was chatting with some ladies on some self help for self improvement. They were raving about the benefits of journaling. I figured I'd try it out. Well, I tried and I could not do it. They gave me prompts and online resources to look at. Still could not put pen to paper. You know, journaling doesn't have to be like physically writing. It could be you just talking into a microphone and recording it and keeping an audio journals. You got to expand your mind a little bit. Where if you can't put pen to paper, sometimes it's just easier to talk instead of writing it down and see what comes out. Still could not type it out, just staring at a blank screen or paper. Anxiety through the roof. I had tons of thoughts in my head, but I just couldn't write down. Even with the prompts like, where do you see yourself next year? Not that deep, but thought provoking. One of the ladies I was friendlier with was like, I know how you can write. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. One of the ladies I was friendlier with was like, I know you can write. What's blocking you? I had no clue. Also, around that time, I was just getting out of a toxic friendship and had been doing a lot of self reflection. And while listening to different self help videos, books, I came across narcissism. So your answer's right there in your question, And if you're listening to self help videos and books, that means the video somebody is talking. So you have to realize journaling is more than physically writing or typing. It's speaking as well. You can do audio journals. A lot of people send in their audio because they have a hard time with what you're saying. They have a hard time writing it out, getting their thoughts together, and it's a lot easier just to talk it out and see what comes out and go from there. I was listening to other people's stories. The light bulb clicked on. Like, these folks had the same stories I have. They've been through the same things I've gone through. If they open themselves up, so can I. I was determined to do my journaling project. I would get a notebook and start writing something. The next thing, I'm ripping it out of the book and shredding it, not just throwing it away. Shredding it, destroying it, gone. Sounds like you're afraid of judgment. You don't want anybody else to see it. You're afraid of judgment. You're afraid of your own story being invalidated, and you can't do that. You just gotta say how you're feeling and put it out there, whether you're writing it or you're saying it or you're typing it. You've been invalidated your whole life, and that's what's keeping you down in the first place, is this fear of invalidation. I did a bunch of rambling voice recordings just to get stuff out of my head, and of course I was deleting each one almost as soon as I started. Gone. I even opened up my notes app or Word, and same thing. I'd get some stuff out of my head, and I'd end up deleting it. Gone, because you're afraid of being invalidated. You're afraid because your abusers have gotten you to the point where your whole story is invalidated, and you're afraid of the gaslighting and being torn down. Every time I wanted to write something down, my anxiety took over. I would get something down, but was compelled to destroy it. But why? I'm not sure what clicked, but at one point when I was working on my journal project, a memory popped up in my head. Mom sitting there reading my diary, of course. Invalidation, the, you know, your boundaries being destroyed, your personal thoughts being destroyed, you're being judged, you're being mocked, you're being gaslighted. But that's not the point of journaling. You got to understand, the point of your journaling is so you can build some self-esteem and self-confidence and expose what your abusers have done to you. I can't tell you how many women on this channel have that same fear because their mothers violated their boundaries, read their diaries aloud, brought them to other people, and made fun of what was in there. More memories of mom going through my room. My sisters go through my room and going through my stuff, and in some cases taking it, listening to phone calls, sneaking up on private conversations, going through purses, books, and bags, just everything. Bam, that's the block. Of course it is, because that's where the invalidation comes from. I wasn't allowed any privacy growing up, and any time I expressed myself, I'd get shut down, bullied, grounded, etc., and it wasn't just childhood. This was going into my early 20s or so until I moved out. This ended up carrying through my whole life. I'm in my early 50s now, and this is just one of many things that I can say broke me down, and it has to be a major cause of my trust issues. My first diary, I remember getting this cute little diary as a gift when I was young, with one of those crappy little locks. I wrote in that one of my deepest, most personal thoughts. How I knew my parents didn't love me. Why was I getting yelled at all the time? Why is everything I do wrong? I had everything in there. I had something in there how I wished I had another family out there in the world, and they were going to come and get me and love me. I wrote about this other family and how they were looking for me, and when they found me, they take me away. I wrote about waking up from this, and my real life was amazing. I wrote about how I wish I was dead, and when I was dead, it'll be awesome as an angel, and God would understand why. I wrote about running away, but I had nothing to run away to. I wrote about maybe unaliving myself, but I would never give them the satisfaction of that. I wrote how much I hated that my mom chopped off my hair and I looked like a boy. I wrote about how I didn't understand why my family wasn't like my friends. Their families always were happy together, etc. Looking back, I was unknowing documenting the abuse I was going through. I was around fourth grade and I made the mistake of thinking that it's my personal diary and my private thoughts. It's like sacred. Yeah, that's what you think. That's what you think, right? Nothing is sacred. Nothing is out of bounds. Who gave you the diary, by the way? Did your mother give it to you? Because if she did, she gave it with the intention of getting into your private thoughts. This is where you learned, because I knew this was all about, your block's all about being invalidated. This is where you learned that anything you try to say is going to be invalidated and gaslighted. I made sure I hid it really well. However, there is no hiding spots for a child of narcissistic parents. One day I came home from school and there's my mom with my diary, crappy lock broken. Oh, yeah, it's so violating. It's so fucking violating. Well, holy shit, I got my ass in trouble. Got screamed at, lies, after all they've done to me. I'm a horrible child. Looking back, that first diary was a cry for help. Of course it was. Of course it was. I had no one to help me. Things never got better. I threw that diary out as soon as I could get my hands back on it. I remember ripping it apart and destroying it and crying from anger and frustration as I did so. And that's why your mother did it in the first place, so her abuse would never get out. So the family's abuse would never get out. You are a loose cannon. You're a loose cannon, an untied knot. You know, something that's dangerous. A loose end. I know YouTube has trigger words, so I'm wording the next part so you don't get a strike. Skip this paragraph if needed, since I'm mentioning unaliving myself above. I never acted upon it. I've never told anyone this, but when I was younger, even in my 20s, there's been so many times I was on the brink of doing something, and maybe have done something had done some reckless things that could have had the same results. Seriously, the one thing that stopped me was I wasn't going to give anyone the satisfaction. I knew that my mom would bask in all the attention in that situation would have given. Oh yeah. Oh, they would. Oh, of course. They drive you to it, and then they'll play the victim over it. Secretly, I think that's what a lot of them want anyway. To this day, I believe she was pushing me towards that. Exactly. Exactly. All my life, I was told I couldn't make it without them, and saw how my older sister fucked up her life. So to me, that seemed to be the only way out of the hell I was in. And I was so young when I first started thinking that way. Back to the diaries. The next time I had a diary was an English school project in sixth, and the teacher was going to review it, and we were going to be graded on it. Now, now that I'm older, that was pretty messed up. Like, why would a teacher want to grade a kid's diary? Creepy. That is weird. They want they wanted you to write a diary. Well, if you're in your early 50s like me, could have been. I mean, I remember there was writing projects. I also there was at least in my school system there was kind of a push to find abused kids. Like there was this weird push in the 80s, in the like mid to late 80s, about trying to expose some of these parents. Knowing what happened the first time I had a diary, I kept it very bland and boring, barely anything personal in it at all. I had to put something in there since it was an assignment. So I wrote about books I read and what I thought about them. Things I did, like I went to the park, had chicken for dinner, ate lunch with my friends, nothing deep or personal. I remember the teacher told me that she wanted more and it should have been more like a diary. I recall some of my friends made sure they didn't have any personal information in the diaries that were submitted as well. We thought it was a weird assignment. One of my friends turned one of my friends turned just wrote a bunch of crazy stuff in hers. It was pretty funny. I'm not sure what all the other kids turned in. Needless to say, that teacher was very disappointed with our class for that project. Wow, thinking about that now, I'm an adult. That was a messed up assignment. It does sound pretty messed up. Like, what are you doing? Hey, listen, predator teachers have been around for a long time. They're just more prevalent. They're just more in the mainstream now. They don't have to hide it as much. Shit, in my high school, I had two teachers banging students and got caught. Two of them. And of course, my family found that fucking thing. There was no lock on that one since it was just a notebook for school. So I remember walking into my room and they, mom and sisters, were reading and laughing and mocking me. That time wasn't so bad since it was super boring but really annoying. And once again, my privacy was violated and used as fuel. And I threw that diary out as soon as I could. Now we get to junior high, 8th grade. I had gotten a very cute diary as a present, and my friends had a diary also. Such a girly thing during the 80s. I only had a couple of friends in that school at the time, as we just moved into the area. So I was excited to have something in common with some of the girls I met in my new school. So I have this diary and found what I thought was the perfect hiding spot for it. There was a spot behind my bed and headboard. It was a platform bed big in the 80s would have to get the where you would have to get on the floor, flatten yourself against the base of the bed, twist your arm up and around and shove your head against the cabinet to get your arm between two pieces of furniture where it would feel like your shoulder was dislocating, and shove it in there. And so it seemed it was the perfect spot. Oh, there is no perfect spot. There is no perfect spot. Thank goodness I didn't pour my heart out in that journal. I was way too paranoid to be really personal at first, so it was really bland. But I was writing about my friends in school and stuff like that, nothing spicy. I was so optimistic. I remember it was nice to have a place where I could have my own thoughts and not be told to shut up or get bullied. And having a diary is such a girly thing I completely missed out on. One of the things I did write about that I had met a couple of guys at school and was excited that they wanted to be friends. They were part of the cool kids and I wasn't, and they were super nice to me. We just happened to chat in class, and there were some things we had in common, so we planned to hang out as friends. They might have taken pity on me at first because mom was out of was because mom was control of my hair and clothes at the time, and I hate to admit it, I looked like an old frumpy dumpy lesbian at my age. So I thought it might have been so I thought they might have been pranking me. Not surprisingly, I had massive trust issues even back then. We did end up being friends all through junior and high school. I hadn't had it that long, so one day I'm not sitting down for dinner and getting, ooh, who has a new boyfriend? You and him kissing in a tree, Kissing. When's the wedding? Oh, my mother. Same thing. Same thing. Not that I had journals or diaries. I, my mother would hear that I was hanging out with girl. Like, this is why you have blocks, because you've been invalidated your whole life for writing, and on in that fucking sing song voice. Definitely relentless high school mean girl bullshit. Anything I had in that diary was thrown at me. Stuff I wrote about my friends and things I wished for. Nothing too bad like the first diary, but it was more the principle. So I was so defeated. I hid that diary so well. Never did I think they would have found it. Probably better off they found it shortly after I got it, before I got comfortable and put some real thoughts and feelings into it. Apparently, Mom found it while cleaning my room. She knew I had gotten that diary, and I swear on a stack of Bibles she was searching my room, trying to find it. Of course! My mother used to move my beds around. You could tell the mattresses were moved. Like, they'd just go looking for anything they could use against you. And once they had you writing in that first diary, they knew you would be writing in them again. So it was always a search to find the diary. Why? Because in the diary they were feared that they were going to be exposed, that you were going to write down the abuse, and once it's written down, it's there forever. That's what she's afraid of. They always have to run from the truth. They always have to run from the abuse they put you through, and then they'll gaslight you and make fun of you and terrorize you over it. For a shy preteen girl with major trust and self-esteem and self-confidence issue, it's a huge dick move. And I had to sit there and take it because I wasn't allowed to leave the table. Once again, I'm being humiliated in front of the family with everybody chiming in, and of course, with me pleading just to knock it off. Dad, of course, did not stop it. You know what that's like? Know what that's like? 3-on-1. 3-on-1 with the little shit brother, Precious. Oh, Michael. Oh, Michael, when I get my hands on you, and I will get my hands on you one day, and he knows it. I mean, that's where I'm at with my man. So I get all this. I mean, I live this. I get this. I know you still watch, boy. I know you still watch. Oh. This is like, for me personally, like, this is, because I know what you're talking about here. I know it, and I know that rage that is burning in you, probably to this day. And it's more than even your mom. It's your sisters too. Like, I've been told I was too sensitive, putting the blame on me. So, on top of constantly being yelled at, getting everyone's emotional garbage dumped on me, being a servant, I was not allowed to have any privacy. As soon as I could, I threw out that diary and never wrote down anything that could be used against me or on anything. I never kept a diary or a journal. Since I wasn't allowed to have my own space, my thoughts were dictated to me, and my feelings were always invalidated. Invalidation. Glad you realize it. This is all about being invalidated. I've learned to hide my feelings and keep my thoughts to myself. The way I was treated while growing up, it's pure evil. They didn't care how they generated their narcissistic fuel. I always struggled with opening up to people, and I rarely do. I've had some relationships, friendships that were toxic, not all, and they always threw what little I shared with them back in my face. So it takes a really long time for me to open up to people at all. Writing my story, even just for myself, it's been hard. Even telling my story anonymously to you and the internet has been hard, right? And you said you wanted to remain anonymous and not use your friend. But aren't you still just trying to hide your diary? Because the thing they fear the most is you exposing them, princess. Princess. You're still trying to hide your diary from your abusers. You're still trying to hide your diary out of fear of being invalidated. Your story is valid. There is no reason, especially on this channel now, because you've done a couple stories with me, for you to feel like you're going to be invalidated. I have lived this story. I know it's the truth. You can't write this unless you've experienced this. Stop hiding your diary from the narcissist. Stop. Because that's what they want. The whole reason she was searching for your diary in the first place is because she wanted to make sure you were never going to expose her bullshit. Her and her evil little minions. Even telling my story anonymously to you on the internet has been hard, but I'm working on it and it's getting a little easier. It's been therapeutic and it does help bring back memories that I've long since blocked out, ignored. I wish I could have had a diary like any other normal girl. Thanks, the princess. I lived through this, princess. I know what you're talking about. And the way you get your validation, okay, is to start putting your name behind some of these things. I know that's hard for you and it's hard for a lot of other people. But remaining anonymous and hiding your diary is trying to hide your diary from them out of fear of invalidation. They can't invalidate this anymore because too many people are going to hear this because they have lived it too and know it's the truth. They'll know it's the truth. And you'll see that in the comment section, obviously, and the people and how the other subscribers will respond to it. You'll truly be validated when you put your name behind one of these. Stop hiding your diary from the narcissist out of fear of invalidation. So, I hope that helps. Thank you so much for your contribution and story, Princess. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, something you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up a Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all of this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with either the Cash App, Zelle, PayPal, or email links in the description box below. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. Also, be sure to subscribe to both of my channels on Rumble. Follow me on Twitter and Telegram as well. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been Societal Narcissism. Take care, everyone.